This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to tune in to my PR talk from the PR Garage on Instagram Live. It's every Thursday at 2 p.m. I know, it's the middle of the day, right? It's not at like 7 o'clock at night when everybody else can sit back and do an Instagram Live, but it's the time that I have in my schedule. So it's Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, PR talk from the PR Garage. We just take 15 minutes. It's real quick, right? So work it into your day. It's like your 15-minute break. Jump on there, ask some questions. We chat about what's going on in PR. We talk about any breaking news that might be going on that is PR relatable. We like to play a game that I call Why Is This News, where I grab a story and I kind of break it down. I give my analysis of why a particular outlet might have chosen to cover that particular story in that particular way, and maybe looking through the glass, what it took the PR person to place that story. Shameless plug for myself. Yesterday, we did one about a story that I placed. So there you go, right? So we can do anything on there and send your ideas in too. But long story short, PR talk from the PR Garage on Instagram Live every Thursday, 2 p.m. Please tune in and join us. Now on with our show today. We've got a great guest from California. Dani Hannah is a public relations account director focusing on clients in the travel and tourism space, working with clients including Aramark Destinations, Edgewood Tahoe Resort, Visit Carmel, and more. The Abbi agency, which she works for, recently produced an ebook titled Navigating with the Traveler's Mindset in 2024, and she recently received the Cal Travels 30 Under 30 Emerging Leaders Award, and her campaigns have received national recognition from Bulldog Awards, PR Daily, and Visit California. Dani, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're glad you can join us. So give us the state of travel, and maybe specifically in California, but give us the state of the travel industry as it relates to PR these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with any industry, specifically when it comes to journalists and the news cycle and what newsrooms look like today and all the shifts, travel writers specifically are really inundated right now. And so I feel like as PR people, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're serving them well as good partners while also serving our clients. And that is, from what I understand and have seen so far, really based in transparency, trust, and honest communication. I think that there are lots of opportunities for PR people to focus on relationships instead of transactions right now, and keep that at the forefront. After the January layoffs, newsrooms look a lot different. Freelancers are looking for any type of story that they can really pitch to their editors that make a good hook for them. And so we need to make sure that we are doing that in a really supportive way by providing them all the right information up front and being honest about what you can offer, whether that's a fam trip for a hosting or what's included, what's not, any images, all that good stuff. So I would say that that's kind of the main piece that we've been seeing over the past 6 months in particular when it comes to travel and travel writers.
Okay, so things have bounced back, obviously, from COVID,
Oh,
4
yeah.
years ago. Nobody was going nowhere. Now people are traveling, people are spending money.
Oh, yeah.
Is it back to 100% in your mind, or you still have a little ways to go?
I think that at the end of this year, we'll have some really good averages as far as visitation numbers go. Around 2022-ish, numbers for visitation in a lot of destinations were going back to 2019 levels, which was great, and sometimes even surpassing those. And so when you have this big revenge travel trend where consumers are wanting to get those bucket list trips in, wanting to go out and see the world after being in their houses for 2 years, right? I think the next year or so, we're going to be able to take a look back, look at the last couple of years as a whole, and create an average of what visitation can look like for the next 2 to 3 years.
And are people, I know that, are people spending big money on travel again too? I mean, I guess you got two kind of buckets. You can do like the the budget travel, like road trip family kind of thing, or you can do the extravagant, whether it's Europe or a cruise or, just somewhere across the country, plane trip kind of thing. Are people spending big money on travel again too?
I would say yes. I would say yes, but I would say that they do so apprehensively.
Hmm.
They, especially right now, right? Like nobody really knows what is going to happen in the next 6 months when it comes to the state of our nation. And so people are a little bit more hesitant to spend those big ticket items, but we're still seeing a big increase in road trips, family trips, weekday trips, really trying to figure out where they can get the best value. And so destinations and hospitality brands can have an opportunity to show different value added pieces. So whether that's a great offer on a hotel in off season pricing. So, encouraging that visitation in the non-summer months if you're a really hot ticket summer destination, right? Like getting creative with different offers that you can provide to your traveler. And then in turn, we can use those narratives for PR if it makes sense.
Yeah, I've got to imagine too that when we think of PR and we think about pitching stories out to reporters, we're always thinking about deadlines and the
Yep.
deadlines that the different publications are working on. And you can go everywhere from a blog or a website that might publish in an hour or two to a high-end magazine that might be 6 to 9 months out, right? How are
Right.
you thinking about the schedule on which, and maybe apply it to some of your clients that you want to talk about? How are you thinking about the deadlines that outlets and reporters are on, and how you're choosing to sequence what you're pitching?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, I saw a tweet or a meme or something, I don't know, on social media a few weeks ago, and I can't think of who posted it, but it was a good one. It said, PR people should be following the news cycle as if it's Hobby Lobby's holiday seasonal decor. So a few weeks ago, Hobby Lobby came out with all of not only their fall stuff, but some holiday, some
Of
Christmas
course.
decor, all of that. And along the same lines, there are publications out there who are already working on their holiday gift guides and their 2025 where to
Oh, yeah.
go roundup. So I think on that national scale, you definitely want to be thinking about holiday. You definitely want to be thinking about the where to go 2025 trips. You need to think about what is new or what's happening in your destination in the first half at least of 2025. But as it comes to those quick turnaround stories, or something that could be up within the hour, I would say that if you have 6 weeks, that's great. If it's an event, a 6 week timeline would be ideal. Otherwise, I would say focus pretty much local, regional, depending on what the message is. So 6 weeks is like my favorite time frame to work out of. I feel like it's the most realistic and most attainable, because to be honest, how often do we know exactly what's going on in a year from now? Like we don't, not all the not all the time. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. Like I can't blame my client for not having those details yet, but
Yep.
trying to make sure that you're feeding the journalists with what they're pitching their editors now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I've got a hospitality client, specifically a restaurant, and they've got a local publication that they really want to get into. And so I contacted that editor and like, okay, we want to pitch you. She's like, yes, great. We'd love to feature you. We work 6 months out. So and 6 months to you and me, probably not a long time,
Yeah.
right? It's realistic. But that meant that in the spring, they had to be thinking about Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back to the chef and be like, okay, what's your Christmas menu going to be?
Yeah.
What are you going to, what are you thinking of? He's like, I don't know what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
But
He's
it's
like,
that kind of thing I
LOL.
think that right, that we
Yeah.
need to be talking to our clients about. Talk us through that. How do you get your client to think on those kind of timelines?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say from the get, like when you're forming your strategy, using the editorial calendars that these big publications put out, um, as your time frame guide for your own messaging calendar, that's really helpful because they can see then what's really going to get in the eyes of Condé Nast Traveler, get interest from Oprah's favorite things, excuse me. So really having that as like supplemental support of like, look, yeah, their ad dates close 6 months in advance. So that means their PR probably is doing the same. Like we have to kind of think about it. And I always laugh too, because, I feel like consumers that aren't in our industry are always commenting like, "Oh, I can't believe that Target already has out their Halloween stuff," or Pottery Barn just released their holiday calendar. I'm like, "Yeah, no, deck the halls. It's time." Like I know it's August 1, but like I'm trying to get a client into the where to go list for 2025. Like we're already there. So I think it's
Yeah.
just like educating your client just like you would tell your friends, right? Like, yeah, this is this, the current scene. That's what we're working out of.
Right. And if you want to be in it, this is how you have to think, because this is how they're thinking. You have to think the same way for sure.
Exactly.
So, in addition to I'll call it traditional PR, right? Pitching stories is what I mean. Pitching
Mhm.
stories to get feature coverage about your clients or getting in the lists or whatever else. There's also got to be an element of what I'll call reviews, right? Whether it's websites, the TripAdvisors of the world or whatever, or other type of review-based journalism or review-based websites. Do those factor into what you do as well?
That's a great question. I would say it really depends on the business goals of
Mm.
the destination or the product or the brand. For one of our hotel clients, yes, the Forbes Hospitality Awards are a big deal. Good Housekeeping Awards, absolutely. And so making sure, one, that you're doing your due diligence as the PR representative to set that expectation. If you don't think that your client is a good fit, you have to let them know that, because I don't think it's fair to them to set that unrealistic expectation. However, if you know in your heart of hearts that they are worthy of these awards, these accolades, these reviews, and you feel really confident, then you have to make sure that you're getting them at the top of the inbox in those journalists' emails, and also making sure that their staff is trained correctly. I think a lot of times PR people, we don't have access to the servers at the restaurant or the people working at the pool over the summer. Like making sure that those people that your reviewers are coming into contact with are
Mhm.
also trained on not just how to properly communicate with media, but why it's important. I think that's a big step that a lot of people miss. They don't realize, that it's not as impactful of a piece as it is. And I think we as PR people should consider them just as important to the journalist experience when they're on site and on property as the CEO.
Do you have ways, and I'm also talking about, like the consumer review, like the customer
Oh,
review,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Do you, in addition to the journalism review, the journalist review, the customer review, and I love what you said about, training the staff to properly execute those customer touch points. Do you have ways that you counsel your clients, or do you have, secrets, tips, tricks, whatever you got about how to gather positive reviews that end up, whether it's on Google or on Yelp or on wherever else? I mean, are there ways you can do that, or are you really just hoping that the staff does a good job that ends up being good reviews online?
Yeah, yeah. We a few different ways we go about that. So we have hosted stakeholder workshops where it's an open invite if you're working within a destination to local business owners to come and learn about not just the services of PR and social media, but the importance and different tools that they can walk away from so they feel
Mhm.
empowered to properly share what their brand has to offer. We've done media trainings with staff as a whole large group. And then additionally, from the consumer standpoint of encouraging those reviews, people love incentives. And so it's in the little details. When you're checking out, get 10% off your next stay by writing us a review. Send us a screenshot of the email. Tag us on your Instagram post for a chance to win a free bottle of wine. Things like that that'll get them engaged, that'll encourage them to take those steps, because I think that we've all seen people who write negative reviews are much more willing to do so because they have a little bit of that passion. They're upset about any type of service they got or didn't get. And so creating something that also gives a similar excitement, but in a positive way with like a chance to win or a special offer, can get a better result. So I would say definitely think through some of the incentives that you can offer your guests.
Yeah, those are great tips, and that's why I asked the question because most reviews that you read online are typically negative. And just like you said, it's usually because someone's really fired up about something that they experienced that they hated and they want to get off their chest or they want to just, beat somebody up about. I actually developed a personal policy of not writing any negative reviews ever about a place because the chef could have had a bad night
Totally.
or the person working the desk was just, they just got bad news from their family and they misstepped or whatever. Unless something is just way out of whack.
Yeah,
I really never write a negative review because that review stays with a business and negative
absolutely.
reviews tank a business. But I love the ideas about sort of incentivizing people.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it too, but let's just run right back to it. Awards.
Mhm.
Whether it's like you said, Condé Nast, Good Housekeeping. How important are awards to a hospitality or travel and tourism client? Do they want to put those badges on their website? How important are they to their business? And how do you counsel them on which awards make the most sense?
Yeah. I think it really depends on the client. We have clients on either end of the spectrum that couldn't give two you know whats about about what, logo they get to put in their email signature, and clients that really love the gold shiny plaque behind their check-in stand. So I think you have to know what is important to your client when you're setting up for the strategy. But I would say overall, accolades are very impactful for any business, regardless. So yes, absolutely go for those awards. Absolutely go for the award categories that make sense and reflect your brand messaging pillars and making sure that it's aligned and whatnot. But accolades I think are huge for travel and tourism specifically because of the fact that there's that SEO impact. There's that search optimization, there's that consumer research point of when you're looking for the 10 best beaches in California, you better hope that your client is listed in that versus who got the Forbes hotel, nominations and didn't win, right? Like where's the line there? And people are just easily attracted to those accolades. So I would definitely say awards are awesome. They're great. They're great for leadership. I know leadership loves a good award. They love a great shiny trophy, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But an accolade for a consumer is really impactful.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Let's round out the conversation with here with proactive versus reactive. A
Mm,
lot of the strategy that you do obviously is proactive, right? And we all try to be proactive as PR people. But there are times where either opportunities come up or even I'll use the word crisis. Maybe it's not a crisis, but something comes up that you need to just jump on. You need to either react to or to address. How do you do that with your clients? How do you guide them, steer them towards the proactive while also taking advantage of either spontaneous opportunities or reacting to things you need to react to?
yeah. I would say that in today's social media landscape with TikTok and consumers being so involved in what's happening in the culture of that realm and TikTok and the trends and the timely aspects, you have to be plugged in to the trends and to what your audiences are consuming and be able to react on that. That being said, you want to do so in a way that makes sense. So don't waste your time trying to be part of a conversation just for the sake of being included in it. Make sure that it reflects your brand image, your values, your messaging standpoints. For example, I would never pitch a mountain campsite for a bougie TV show reflective pitch, right? And what I mean by that is we saw a lot of this with like set jetting and that trend that came up, whether it's Yellowstone or Big Little Lies or Bridgerton. we've seen a lot of travelers looking for destinations that have that same aesthetic or experience as their favorite TV shows. So you wouldn't want to necessarily make something a stretch. If it's not a fit, it's not a fit, and that's okay. Save your time there and focus on the things that are impactful, that do reflect your brand, and that can get things across the line that your client will be happy about.
Love it. Great advice, Dani. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. Can see why you're sought after as a PR pro in this space.
Thank you.
We are gonna pivot now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. Have a little bit of fun, as though we haven't been having fun this whole time. But this is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions. These meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, let's begin, Dani, with your favorite news source.
News, I would say New York Times. Pop culture, fun news, the Toast podcast on Spotify. I love Claudia and Jackie Oshry. They're so fun to listen to.
Love that. Do you have a go-to news source in your space? I mean, there's lots of magazines, lots of publication in travel and tourism. Is there one that stands out, or is there an aggregator maybe that stands out?
Yeah, absolutely. Travel and Leisure, Condé Nast Traveler, I feel like they always have a solid pulse on what's going on, and they're great at keeping up with trends and communicating that to their audiences as well.
Awesome. Rapid fire question number 2, Dani. What's your favorite social media platform?
I hate to say it, but it's TikTok right now. I don't post. I don't even have a picture on my profile, but I can't stop. It's so fun.
I'm in the talk as well. It's just you can see why people can spend an hour just scrolling, because it's so easy to do. And I am so amazed by the algorithm. Whatever they're doing, they have got the most amazing algorithm, because it serves me. I mean, I will start while I went down a couple weekends ago. I went down a particular subject matter hole, right?
Mhm.
And for the next 3 days, it's serving me all that stuff. Like it reacted on, like, it's amazing.
It's so fun. It really is.
And it is a lot of fun. People on it really fun too. Way funnier than I am. All right, rapid fire question number 3: coffee or alcohol?
I'm a mom, so both. I would say drinks of choice. I love an oat milk vanilla latte because I'm basic, but if I'm having a drink, it's definitely going to have a olive of some sort in it as like a dirty martini. That's like my favorite.
Sounds good. Rapid fire question number 4: what's your favorite on the run food? You said you're a mom, so you're probably on the run all the time.
Yes, I am. I always have freeze-dried apples in my bag because it's a snack that my little guy loves and that I like to snack on too. So I would say freeze-dried apples.
That sounds good to me. Rapid fire question number 4: what do you want to be after you finish this career?
A really good mom and a really good wife. That's what's important at the end of the day.
That's awesome stuff. How old are the kids?
I just have one little guy. He's about 19 months old.
Oh my goodness, you are so busy. Oh, that's great. That's great. Wonderful. My kids are a little more grown up than that, but I'm very happy.
Oh my
for you.
gosh.
So awesome. Being
Any
a dad.
tips?
Just take it for what it is right now, right? Live in the moment. Do this part, because you never get this part back again, right?
Absolutely.
And there's always a new part that's coming. Don't wish yourself forward in time. Just do this now and enjoy it.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Of course. Dani, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Dani Hannah with an H at the end. Or you can head over to theabbyagency.com and our contact information's there.
Sounds good. And we'll put all the links in the show notes. Thanks again, Dani. And thank you everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.